What's up, everyone? Welcome to the rundown. And meow? That's right, we have a cat tour. If you asked for a cat tour, congratulations, you got one. For myself, this was not on my list, but hey, we have one, and we do have some unique characters. But I'm excited to jump in with you today to talk a little bit about some of the meta level strategies. So, as you know, with Mario Kart, there's a lot of things that are pretty self-explanatory. You've probably figured them out. There's a lot of great content out there of other people reacting to the reveal, and those are fun. I think where the rundown fits within this community is to essentially take a couple days after the tour is released to be able to look at the data, have conversations within the community, try to formulate an opinion, and try to read between the tea leaves as to what's really happening in this game from a meta level perspective, and then help you be able to make decisions when it comes to how you invest your rubies, coins, tickets, etc. In order for you to be able to take advantage of this game, but then also just fun to talk about. So, whether it's who got buffed or what the top 10 drivers, karts, and gliders are in the game, this is a game that we enjoy talking about and enjoy being able to peel apart the onion of what's going on. So let's jump right into it. As you know, I'm a big fan of pipes in general. My content originally created from pulling on these pipes and talking about strategies there. We'll jump right into the 100 pipe. Obviously, I'm not going to get into the details of Cat Peach and her super horn. There's a lot of people that are talking about what that skill can or can't do. I'm not going to waste your time. You know what it does, and there's a lot of content out there. I think where my perspective comes into is to trying to predict what's going to happen with Cat Peach and Cat Cruiser going forward. Standard pipe, 100 pipe, 6% high ends, but there is this one unique note. It says Cat Peach and Cat Cruiser will also appear in future pipes. So normally what this says is it may appear in future pipes. So guaranteeing it will be in future pipes, all we really have to be able to hang our hat on is the fact that she will be back. She's got a unique skill, so I think she'll be valuable. But if you miss out on her in this pipe, she will be back. So there's a couple people that will analyze this and say, great, she's in 100 pipes going forward. That's awesome. As a permanent driver. I don't think that's the case. There's also some people who might believe, hey, so it sounds like, she will be coming back at a later point. And my personal belief is that she might be coming back as part 2 of this Valentine's tour. My personal opinion is that this tour is really a part 1 of a Valentine's tour. We have so many heart things. We have pink cars. My personal belief is that we have basically a Valentine's tour, part 1, part 2. I think the biggest clue to that being is that we have a Paris track, which was the track that came out last Valentine's Day. So it'll be interesting to see what I think next tour will probably be a true Valentine's tour, but my guess is here that Cat Peach is going to be here for next tour as well. That's just a hypothesis. The only other time that we'd really seen crazy writing like this is when Bowser Santa was released from a certain period of time through a certain period of time. Now, they were very specific. They said all the way through a tour, that goes through December 25th. Very, very specific. Maybe they didn't want to be that specific this time. Maybe they just wanted to say, hey, we kind of caused some confusion. Is it ending on the 25th? Is it going through? What's happening here? Maybe they just kind of kept it pretty vague. My guess, though, the Cat Peach might be around next tour. But all we have guaranteed is that she will be around, and if you miss her this tour, you will have another chance at some point in time to get her. Really, outside of that, it's all speculation. But my guess is she'll be back very soon, but not permanent. As for the items new to this tour, we have a new trend. That trend is that this is the second tour in a row where city tracks are available at level 3 and level 6. There are 4 items here you see in red where there are tracks that are technically city tracks. More importantly, for the first time ever, a new non-city track was released along with a re-release of a city track. That's right. This Paris 2 was involved last year, brought back, but not brought back as the main track. Brought back as a complimentary track to the Donut Plains 2. Now there is one exception, that is the anniversary, but that's an that's an exception across the board, and I think we all miss those days. But I think this is, as I mentioned last time, this is a tipping of the hat. I believe, just from looking at this, there is a chance that cities might be incorporated as a part of ranked, as a part of all club going forward. And what that will look like, I'm not entirely sure. It looks like it could be that maybe, you know, not just that every city is sprinkled in alongside of all the other cities or all the other non-city tracks, but maybe there is one city and one city specific track that is incorporated in ranked, etc., which would change how we value drivers, karts, and gliders. It'll change a lot of how we try to interpret this game. So hold on tight. We're going to be keeping an eye on this for sure. One thing that was pointed out from Ray from Croatia, my boy, he mentioned, you know, we also had a big city pipe last tour. So, you know, kind of thinking like cities are on the rise. Cities are now going from not important and almost a discounted track and almost kind of hurting the driver, karts, and gliders. But maybe going forward in 2021, we now have cities as a part of our everyday Mario Kart life. So that is massive. That could change this game, change how the data community interprets the values of these drivers, the karts and gliders. But, you know, for all intents and purposes, we now have a very, very pivotal change in the game, and it comes in the first month of the year. So I do think this is something going forward in 2021 we can perhaps expect. As for the non-spotlight drivers, we have the next week's spotlight driver, Todd. I like calling him Todd. I know he's Toad, but I like calling him Todd. So if I call him Todd, it's for your own entertainment. But then we also have the typical other permanent drivers in this pipe. The one thing is that we do have Funky Kong. Now, my guess is that he could be permanent in this pipe and pipes going forward. Here's why. Last tour we saw Black Yoshi, again, the first tour of 2021, we saw Black Yoshi in a pack and also in the pipe, and now he's permanent. We now have Funky in a pack and also in this 100 pipe for some reason. He's not a cat, obviously, so you wonder why it's happening. My personal belief is that he is in the pipe going forward. Now, what I think is interesting is that when you look at all these drivers, each one has a unique special skill. So Pauline is the only permanent pipe driver with Lucky 7, etc. Funky Kong does have his own special skill, the banana barrels. When I say his own, meaning that there's no other permanent high end in this pipe that also shares that same skill. So for a while I was thinking maybe Penguin Luigi would become permanent, or maybe Nabbit would become permanent one day. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Nintendo does specifically want only one of a skill in a permanent pipe. Which also, you know, if this theory holds true, then Pinkle Peach would be the only coin box driver permanent in the pipe. Which, you know, for those who might get hopes up that maybe one day they'll add other coin box drivers to this 100 pipe permanently, I don't think that's going to be the case. Now, with this being said, this does open things up for Cat Peach, who does have her own unique skill. She could become permanent for this one little reason. Another thing that kind of works against that is, you know, we've also, and I think it's also kind of destroyed the theory that someone can't be permanent unless they have their own cup. You know, we don't have a Black Yoshi cup. You know, we may not have a Cat Peach cup, but she might be permanent. So from that standpoint, that theory or that correlation might be destroyed. We might just now have permanent drivers that don't have their own special cup. So that's new. That's different. I think that a lot of people, you know, especially myself, I predicted that, you know, Pinkle Peach would have, you know, be permanent in the pipe this summer. You know, once she got her cup, it was done. We all knew it. So I think things are a little different here, but my expectations would be that Funky is now permanent in this pipe. We saw, I think this game kind of goes in seasons where we have, a spike for a long period of time of a driver. This summer I think of Pinkle Peach, she was unstoppable. Now we seem to have going through some season with Penguin Luigi being very very popular, and King Bob-omb, and it's usually like a kind of a string of tours, and maybe not every tour in that string, but we start to see a lot of value spiked for a longer period of time. I think we saw a lot of that spike for Black Yoshi, and now he's not as he's kind of an everyday driver. So there's a lot of unique aspects to kind of thinking about things in seasons, and where the value is. And I think we just came out of a good example would be Mario Hakama, where basically every single non-city track he has been in ranked, back to back to back to back, and he's been unstoppable. Now, with his city value so invested across the globe, we haven't seen him that very valuable in the community. Now, if something were to happen, like cities to be opened up, his value spikes. Values like Baby Peach Detective or Baby Rosalina Detective, others that have a lot of cities. So I go through and I do add the cities on these slides for you to be able to reference, but just kind of keep things in mind. We're seeing a big change in the game now that we're in a new year, and we're past all the freebies that we're giving out for login bonuses and tokens. So we're seeing a little difference there. Now, this is kind of where I'm going into things when it comes to seasons. We saw a season where they were adding a cart every single tour, it seemed. Hey, here's a new cart. Now it's permanent. Here's a new cart. Thinking back, we had the Steel Driver. We had the Crawley cart. We had all these carts being added to the 100 mix. Well, they've been pretty stagnant here lately. In fact, for the past 4 tours, we've had that, 24 or so carts been the same, whereas we've seen the drivers been added, and whereas they stayed the same for so long period of time. So it's kind of going in seasons. Right now we're in the season of adding drivers for whatever reason, but we had a pretty strong season up until about 4 weeks ago, where the carts were being added to this list. They've stayed the same. Now we do have the week 2 spotlight, which is Blue Soda. But that's to be expected. That's my guess is that that's not going to be permanent. So keep that in mind. We also have the gliders stay the same. It seems like these are kind of the new permanent gliders. We saw some change. In fact, we even saw a couple of those fall out. Like the Butterfly Sunset was gone for a tour. We didn't know what was going on there, but it does seem like these are going to be the gliders that are going to be permanent going forward. Always solid investments for sure. You see a lot of these are in the top 10. I think Nintendo does want people to have great valued items. Now, it does like to kind of paywall some of those top items, which I'll get to here in a second, as I'm going to try to predict what are going to be the best or the top paywalled items here in 2021. But from your sake, you can kind of expect all of these gliders are going to be good to invest in. Just know once you get them to 6, you may not want to pull them as a duplicate. That's a problem I'm running into now. As we look into the week 2 spotlights, we obviously have Cat Todd. We had Blue Soda, and then we have one of 2 glider. We will have a glider as a spotlight. I'm not sure what that is. My guess, just from really looking at the picture, Cheap Masks, as well as we could have Calico, Parafoil, the new glider. It's in a pack, so not really sure how that works out. Neither one of the Cheap Mask is in the week 1 pipe because it's already permanent. So there's a pretty good likelihood that that's going to be the case. Feel free to comment below. I'm not too worried about it. But it's most likely going to be a normal 100 pipe when we're talking about 6 high ends in there, 3 spotlight, 3 non-spotlight. But feel free to let me know your comments if you think that's going to be different. Now here's a special pipe I'm actually looking forward to. It's a pink car pipe. I'm not sure what they'll call it necessarily. It's just a pipe with pink cars. So from that standpoint, I'll be pulling on it. We love these 30 pipes. There's so many good reasons why. of course they're carts. We have a lot of carts, but they're high-end carts, which are hard to be able to, at least from my perspective in my game, my loadouts are always lacking in the carts. So for me, this is one, especially if these are like the classic cart or other cart, this is going to be great with coins. I'm not entirely sure what that's going to be, but it should be pretty good with coins. What I think is, valuable for you to know, and probably why I would go into this, especially compared to the two 100 pipes, is that there's less rubies at risk. Some might even just do single pulls and just pull until you get that high end that you want, and it might happen in the first 10 because most likely this is going to be a 3 high end pipe. But most importantly, the reason why single pulls sometimes work in this pipe is that there's less at risk. If you go single pull instead of a 10 pull, worst case scenario, there are 3 high-end carts at the very end of that pipe, and you've only wasted 15 rubies. Versus in a 100 pipe, if you did that strategy, you'd be missing out on 50 rubies, one for each 10 pull. So from that standpoint, I guess it might be 45. Either way, doesn't matter. The point is that there's less at risk. If you make a mistake and you overshoot, you can recover pretty quickly. I think it's pretty safe. If you don't get a high end in your first 10 pull, you'll pull again, you'll probably get 2. There's pretty high likelihood there. And worst case scenario, you do a couple single pulls, you might get that third. So great pipe from a coin perspective, a coin per ruby perspective, being able to stock up on carts, and then finally being able to, from low risk standpoint, be able to not lose a lot of rubies if for some reason you get that dreaded green pull. So, great pipe. I know I'll be pulling on it. I'll release a video tomorrow of me kind of talking a little bit more about that strategy. I kind of transitioning more into the rundowns versus pipe pulls, but this is going to be definitely one I'm pulling on. All right, getting to the packs. There's some unique stuff, right? So last tour I talked a lot about this changing of the guard, the handing off of the baton from one king to another, and I think from that standpoint we saw Rose Queen and Wild Black, the notorious paywalled cards that have been so valuable in packs, and we also saw some other packs that were very unique. And so I kind of mentioned that this might be Wild Black and Rose Queen's way of basically saying, all right, hey, we've had a great year, here you are, for one last shot. I know you've been tempted to get me all year. Here you go. Here's one last shot, and then probably put on the shelf. And we'll probably have a new dominant couple carts. When it comes to a top 10, the carts have been consistent. We've had a top 4 basically all year. It's changed around different orders, but between and we'll get more into this for the top 10. But Happy Ride, Wild Black, Rose Queen, and Off-Roader. Between those 4, they've been pretty straight and narrow from staying on top. So we kind of predicted that there would be a new set of carts. Well, there might also be a new glider that's as dominant as Dragon Wings. It's interesting that they went carts, and now we have Dragon Wings in another pack. This has been in so many packs. If you don't have it, you obviously are free to play, and you've been tempted to try to get it. It has been in a couple pipes. I think just one pipe. It's never been in a 100 pipe. So from that standpoint, I'm gonna kind of predict what the next Dragon Wings is gonna be, but it is in a pack. If you want to get it as one last hurrah and say, I got the Dragon Wings, it's got so much value. It's definitely worth it. But we might be seeing an official handing off of the paywall baton. I don't think it's going to Banana Wingtip. Not the best glider. In fact, I totally forgot about it. I was like, is that a high end? When I first saw it, I was thinking the Parafoil. But it is a glider. I don't have a 6, so it's one that I got once. It's out there, probably the least valuable out of all these packs here. We do have a new Calico Parafoil glider that will come out next week, And so, as a spoiler, I do a lot of spoilers. Sometimes I forget to mention this, but there are packs for next week too. So we have Funky and Dixie, both in the 90 packs. Dark Buggy, love that. Off-roader, obviously a top 10 glider, top 5 glider, really. Top 5 cart. But both of these packs are very solid. I'm not sure what the tie-in with Funky and Dixie. I kept going back and forth. What is going on here? I wonder if we do have some type of Kong pipe coming up, or a Kong tour, or something new on the Kong front, or they just might be throwing it in. It's weird. We had the LA tour, and we also had Dixie and Funky featured. Maybe this is just a celebration for Funky coming into the 100 pipe, and this is the way that they've been doing it. And they said, yeah, we'll throw Dixie in there too. But Off-Roader is an awesome cart. Dixie's skill is better than Funky Kong's in my opinion. But from that stance, so that maybe that pack edges out. But I love the Dark Buggy, especially Jump Boost Plus. It's a great cart to have too. I mean, Dragon Wings is the most notable on here, but the 90 packs are pretty decent. I think the Off-Roader pack is probably better if you do not have the Off-Roader. Might be a good one, but again, we're talking about another changing of the guard. Off-Roader's been dominant. So again, just reiterating what we've already been talking about so far. So this is the fun part, right? So I put on here, this is complete speculation. There's absolutely no data to back what I'm about to tell you. So take it at your own risk. But when we're talking about the top 3 carts in the game, we have Happy Ride, which came as a couple dollar pack that you could get without rubies. And it's been number 1 really for the last, it's been months. Then we have Wild Black and Rose Queen, which have been not in any pipes and only available via packs. And they've been dominant as the number 2, number 3, number 3, number 2. Kept going back and forth throughout the year. Basically, the top 3 carts in a very volatile type of item, being carts and having so many, have remained at the top. So my goal was to try to maybe pick out what are the 2021 changing of the guard, handing off of the baton, top carts for this year. And so from that standpoint, I was trying to I got all that information from Tabor. Special request. And again, kudos to Tabor for all the work that he does. I did get him to put together and assume that the Todd Cup is going to be next week. So kudos. This video is the earliest this video is going to be released, and for the reason that Tabor was able to step up here. But I also made some other requests, one being asking him to find out what other cards were available only in packs, rubies or non-rubies, that have never been in a pipe. And so from that standpoint, 2 noted non-ruby items, one of those being the Penguin Slider and the Sunset Cloud. One of these could be the next Happy Ride. For just looking at pure facts, that these are the only 2 carts that came basically in a commemorative couple dollar pack, but also not with rubies. There might be others, but these are the 2 that I mostly wanted to focus on. And I personally think that the Penguin Slider could be the next Happy Ride, could be Sunset Cloud. But either way, I kind of put a star next to Penguin Glider just as an extra bold move. But really, if the Sunset Cloud is the next Happy Ride, I think that's awesome. It's a great looking cart. Obviously, it's fantastic. The one thing I will mention all these is that we don't see a lot of Mini Turbo Plus, which Happy Ride, Wild Black, Rose Queen are all Mini Turbo Plus. So, and I think the reason that they've become so important is that everyone believes that this is the most important skill. I don't think that that's the case. That doesn't matter. It's value is always in the eye of the beholder, right? So if everyone thinks that Mini Turbo Plus is the best skill, then Mini Turbo Plus is the best skill to put in packs. So it is interesting that not a lot of these have Mini Turbo Plus. So I did want to add 2 Party Wing and Cat Cruiser as kind of some wild cards. I mentioned earlier Cat Cruiser could be a very important piece of this because it was as part of a gold pass, and then also in the pipe, and then it also could be in next pipe. So just knowing that this cart is going to be in so many hands, it makes sense for Nintendo to kind of treat it a little differently. So I do think this also could be the next Happy Ride of this year. Worth definitely putting tickets on, if you especially if you like cats. As for Wild Black and Rose Queen, what are going to be the next of those? I think between the Black Dozer and Gilded King, I think are two great chances. A lot of Wild Black's value has been in Bowser Castles. We already have a lot of value, and then obviously like Neo Bowser City and some other tracks as well. But I actually think the Gilded King might be the Wild Black of 2021. It's already got a lot of value. It's already in our top 5, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. But as new tracks are added, we could see this being more dominant. We'll have to find out. Again, not many Turbo Plus, but I think it's a plus. Then you have Rose Queen, which has had pretty dominant across the board. It's probably the card that I'll take to triple uncapped first. It's just so valuable. Now, a lot of its value has been in like a Rainbow Road, in addition to a variety of other tracks. Obviously, being dominant, you're going to be pretty dominant over a lot of tracks. But it's been kind of the best for some of the Rainbow Roads and some of the other items there. So when I look at the two cards that kind of be similar to the Rose Queen, Dreamy Egg stands out as obviously paired to Rainbow Roads. We have so many Rainbow Roads out there. We'll see what happens as time goes on. Obviously, Party Wing could be a part of that too. But I mentioned earlier last week, I do really want to point out the Iron Cucumber. There are a lot of tracks that are city tracks for it, no doubt. But and actually, it's almost kind of a scary and alarming amount of city tracks. Which again, if we move into 2021, which could be a city year, where cities are a part of everything, Iron Cucumber is definitely going to be a top card. It's going to be an awesome card. Now, if it doesn't, hey, it may not be a top card. But I do think it's interesting that it was in a pack alongside at the same time as Wild Black and Rose Queen. Again, just another reason why it could be a top card. Either one of these could be kind of the next Rose Queen of 2021. Just pointing those out there. Dark Buggy, another one that was in a pack, not in a pipe. Great card. I don't see it aligned, the same way as these other cards, but it's got great value. Definitely worth putting tickets in, especially knowing you're not going to pull it into a pipe. Star Spangled Flyer, Carb Cart, these have been around for a while. I don't foresee these being that important in 2021. Could be wrong, certainly. That they fit the mold, but I don't see them as being the dominant cards that we've seen in 2021 or in 2020. As we look at gliders, we have only one dominant glider. We have a lot of great coin gliders, and they've been kind of rotating back and forth. But there's only been one glider that's been dominant for, we're talking about, the most dominant performance we've seen from a glider ever. And, with Green Shell, hasn't been the sexiest skill, but it's with that coverage, you cannot deny that it is king. So in trying to predict 2021, kind of looked at the same thing. What's not been in a 100 pipe that's been in packs? Now, of course, the Dragon Wings has been in pipes after its rise, and of course, it was still rising. So I kind of try to take this with a grain of salt. But I was trying to look at some gliders that were not in 100 pipes, that were only in packs for now, and try to predict. Three that kind of met that criteria: Chocolate Banana Crepe, Festival Wings, Planet Glider. I don't really feel good about any three of these becoming Drag Wings. If any, maybe the Planet Glider, but I don't know. I don't think any three of those will be the dominant glider. Maybe the new dominant glider isn't out yet. Maybe we just don't have it yet. Now, a couple that don't fit that criteria of not being in 100 pipes that I think could be good would be Dry Bowser Umbrella and 8-Bit Star. We've seen 8-Bit Star jump up pretty high in the top 10 list, and Dry Bowser Umbrella was released right there on the cusp of 2021, the New Year's tour, etc. And it also does have Green Shell. The downside to it though is it is permanently in 100 pipes, which makes you wonder if it will be the new Dragon Wings, because I do think that they do like the fact that Dragon Wings was not in 100 pipes, and so it keeps coming back in packs. Like, you want it, here it is again. I dare you. It's not that way with Dry Bowser Umbrella, but it was released in a pack for what it's worth. I do think, based on the volume of tracks that we're seeing added to the Dry Bowser Umbrella, I do think that could be perhaps the next Dragon Wings. Now, the others we've seen that were just in packs without rubies: Super Mario Kart Glider, Penguin Wingtip, New Year's 2021. I think these are going to be probably more like the New Year's 2020 glider that was very valuable for a while. I do think the Super Mario Kart glider has already emerged as a very valuable glider. In fact, it breaks our top 10. Spoiler alert, breaks our top 10 this tour. It's going to be a great glider to invest in. I personally love the Penguin Wingtip. I'm already calling it the stud tip. I love this glider. It really helped me in ranked last week at level 6. I'm a big fan of this glider, especially at Mushroom Plus. I'm kind of hoping that takes over. I don't think so, but it's definitely a very valuable glider in that I think I used it 3 times for the All Cup ranking. Definitely a great glider to invest in if you did get it in that non-ruby pack. All right, moving forward to who got buffed. We'll start with drivers. Lakitu Party Time got some serious love. He got 4 new tracks: the Paris 2R, Paris 2T, Merry Mountain T, and then the Donut Plains 2T. So he is now up to 14 non-city tracks with 3 additional city tracks. That's what those numbers mean. The plus being the new track, the 14 being the total of non-city tracks, and then the red number next to the C is the number of city tracks. Luigi Lederhosen received 3 new tracks to total 10 plus 2 cities, obviously being Berlin cities. But he got a nice little boost there, between Shy Guy Bazaar, Merry Mountain, and then Donut Plains 2R. So he did not get any investment in the Paris tracks, which is good for him. I kind of moved the little supers just for space here, but did want to kind of touch on Hammer Bro. He now has 10 tracks, 1 city track additionally. He obviously got this Paris track, and then Birdo now got Donut Plains 2R to be 10 tracks, 1 city track additional. Now, Baby Peach Cherub, you definitely keep an eye out on her. They buffed her a little bit. I'm sure they're going to be buffing her next tour. She's up to 10 tracks, which isn't a lot. So it's good, though, that they did give her 2 non-city tracks. We'll see what happens next tour, if next tour is another Paris track, or what all will come from that. We have Black Yoshi, pretty dominant top 10 driver here. He had a Paris track, Paris 2, and then Donut Plains 2R. The total of 20 non-city tracks. That's a lot of tracks. As you can see here, that's alongside of Peach Explorer. That's the most amount on this slide here. We do have Bowser Santa, who has 0 city tracks. You gotta love that. If you've been debating on putting tickets on him for Shy Guy Bazaar, you might want to invest in him. He has got 16 non-city tracks, which is huge for a Coinbox driver. He's got the Rainbow Road 1RT. This is the remix version. And he's also got Shy Guy Bazaar. And so, obviously, you're very familiar with that part. They got Funky. He's got 4 cities, total of 15 tracks with the 2 Paris tracks added. Got Bowser Jr., Chef Mario, Baby Rosalina Detective, all got the Paris 2 track. Obviously, they got a lot of cities, especially Baby Rosalina Detective. She's got 12 cities, but then she also has additional 12. So she's got 24 tracks total. If you see any boost from a new city 2021, it's going to be for her. She's got a massive investment in cities. Definitely going to be worth putting tickets on her. Now, again, when we talked about that big city pipe, it could certainly happen. Peach Halloween got the 2T, and Ice Mario got Donut Plains 2R. Penguin Luigi has Donut Plains 2T. Mario Sunshine got the Donut Plains 2T. Bella Luigi, the Paris 2T. Peach Explorer, it's great to see her with 0 cities and 20 tracks. That's a lot. She has definitely become quite valuable. I almost kind of imagine her as the new Bowser Jr. pirate. In that, you remember that season, right? So when he was getting boosted all over the place, and we all were loving him until they added Coinbox drivers to all of his tracks, it seemed. And now he's back on the shelf. But for now, if you have Peach Explorer, you have a high level, she's pretty valuable with 20 tracks here. King Babam, with Donut Plains 2, you're using him maybe, perhaps. I know I am for ranked. And then you have Fire Rosalina, 0 cities as well. She's got the Remix Rainbow Road 1RT. So those are the drivers who were buffed. Getting into carts, you got Penguin Slider. This is who I mentioned could be a major player here in 2021. 2 cities though, but now up to 19 tracks. You have Fast Frank. Love the look of that cart. I did not get it, unfortunately, but it got boosted 4. Now has 11. Iron Cucumber, again, one of the potential Rose Queen heirs, has now 3 new tracks. The downside, though, 6 city tracks, 5 non-city tracks. But again, as we mentioned, this might be a year of cities. So if that is the case, Iron Cucumber is going to be a valuable card. I can guarantee that. Again, all hinging on being very city involved. You have Blue Soda, a top 10 cart for a while. Got 2 new tracks. Good to see that. Bright Bunny, now up to 15, but 4 additional cities. Dreamy Egg. This is what I keep getting drawn to. 13 tracks, 0 cities. That's right, 0. Anytime I see 0 cities on any of these slides, I get excited. That means, again, assuming we're not having a city 21. It could be extremely valuable. But regardless, even if they do bring back cities, I do want to add this, even if they do bring back cities, they may not be bringing back cities the way that we see them bringing back all these other tracks. We might only see 1 city a tour. So really, cities, it might be almost like more like, RT tracks. Might be a little bit more valuable than them, but don't get don't overshoot the city idea that I'm bringing up. But just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Party Wing, good to see that with 12 tracks already. Gilded King, a monster card, as you know, big fan of it. Number 5 on our list, up to 19 non-city tracks with 3 city tracks. That's a lot. Sports Coupe, 5 cities, total of 17 tracks. Otherwise, really everything else I'm going to mention is going to be just 1 additional track. Steel Driver, no cities. You got to like that. 15 tracks total. Black Dozer, back in our top 10. 18 total tracks, no cities. Chaco Macaroon, 0 cities, 16. He's been a pretty dominant top 10 contender there. Head Honcho, number 13 on our list. 16 tracks total, 2 cities. Green Circuit, 14. He's got a lot of cities, though. 8 cities. Could be extremely valuable if cities are a big part of 2021. Bandwagon, it's been back and forth in our top 10, really for just rank coverage, because it's only got 13 tracks, but 0 cities there. Dark Buggy, a very valuable cart, number 11 on our list. It's been climbing very, very slowly, but climbing. 16 tracks, 1 city. Happy Ride, our dominant number 1, 19 tracks plus 1 city at number 1 on our list. Pirate, Sushi Racer, up to 13 tracks now, 3 cities. Pink Wing, a lot of cities there. You're talking about 7 cities in addition to the 14 normal tracks. Holiday King, I didn't really talk a lot about him or her. It's got 14 tracks plus 1 city. The one thought I had around Wild Black and the Rose Queen, because I kind of forgot to mention this. I don't know how important it is, but it did seem that the Wild Black had a lot of overlap with Gold Dry Bones. And Rose Queen obviously had a lot of overlap with Pinkle Peach. So as they were the 1A, 1B Coinbox driver, you also had kind of the 1A, 1B cart that went alongside them. So I was thinking, I wondered if Bowser Santa, as dominant and rising as he's been, or even thinking about Gold King Boo, is there a cart that's tied to them in the same way that Wild Black and Rose Queen? I couldn't really pinpoint one. Yeah, I was thinking maybe Head Honcho with Gold King Boo, and then you know, really I kept being dragged back to this Holiday King. Is there more to that? Do you think that Bowser Santa and Holiday King could rise into popularity together? I don't think so, but I'm just keeping an eye on all these facts and all these different cues, just trying to read between the tea leaves. That's what this channel is all about. 8-bit star frame, 14 total, 2 cities, double decker, 5 cities with only 11 tracks. But again, could be very valuable with a City 21. Gold Snow Skimmer, now up to 10 tracks, 0 cities. Queen Bee, 9 tracks, plus 1 city. Surf Sailor, 12 tracks, plus 2 cities. And then the new Cucumber at 5 non-city tracks, 1 city. Moving finally to the last part of our Who Got Buffed section on gliders. So as I mentioned, Dry Bowser Umbrella, it's been rising. It's now up to 14 tracks. That's good, right? So you want 14. If it's going to become dominant, we're going to be talking about 24, 25, 26 different cities. So you're talking about an additional 10 cities that could be tossed in this year, plus the 3 that got this tour. It only does have 2 cities, so for what that's worth, it could see. I mean, it's been continuing to see a lot of value. I really feel like this could be the glider of 2021, the new heir to the Dragon Wings. We've got Golden New Year's Kite, which is obviously a new kite. It's good to see with with Coin Plus. It's nice to see some value there. Penguin Wingtip, one of my favorites. It's up to 9 plus 1 city track. We got the Super Mario Glider. It breaks our top 10 at number 9. It has a total of 20 tracks, 19 being non-cities, 1 being a city. That's massive. And the good thing about ticketing this glider is that you're never worried about having to pull it at already being level 6 or wasting a ticket there. Now, also, I think a lot of people like the fact that some gliders are in the 100 pipe because it can help them get it up, because they're not really worried about pulling it when it's 6. That's not really a problem that they have. So this one might be a little bit lagging because you're not pulling it in 100 pipes or all clear pipes. But for what it's worth, it's there. It's number 9 on our list. I'm keeping an eye on it for sure. It might actually be better than the way that we're thinking about New Year's 21 being the heir to the 2020 glider. Silver Starchute, a great glider. It only does have 12 tracks and 2 city tracks, so it doesn't have a lot invested in it. But that's sometimes a good thing, right? So it means that we could be seeing it added in the future. I have not been using it a lot, even though I have it at a pretty high level. We'll see what happens going forward. The fact that it only has 12 might be a good thing. It's been obviously very involved and now permanently in the pipe. Strawberry Donut, man, this one's been we've had our heart broken when it came to its top 10 value. It did dip quite a lot there for a while, but to add 2 new tracks, it's now up to 19 non-city tracks, but has 5 city tracks. So still a great glider, a top 5 glider, definitely for sure. I'm pretty sure it's back on top here. Then we have the Gold Crane, similar situation, right? So it's got 17 non-city tracks, 6 city tracks. Gold Crane number 2, Strawberry Donut number 3 officially on our list for this tour. But that Gold Crane, the top coin glider right now. There's no debate about that. It's been pretty dominant. Butterfly Prism, beautiful, definitely very beautiful glider there. It's got 13 tracks now plus 1 city. And now the rest of the gliders here, just one new track. So Planet Glider now up to 10, 1 city. Sunset Balloons, this is a beautiful glider. I really hope this becomes a very, very, very good glider. It looks gorgeous. Now it was not a part of a pack. It was just in a 100 pipe. So even the whales don't necessarily guarantee to have this. It's number 8 on our list. 18 tracks, only 1 city. So that's I really hope that they bring that back into some other type of pipe. It's gonna be beautiful. Banana Wingtip, unfortunately, only 12 tracks, 4 cities. As I mentioned earlier, it's not a great pack. I almost forgot about it, but it is kind of tied to that Funky's glider. So if you like Funky, if you like the Kongs, and you anticipate maybe a Kong tour coming up, maybe that's worth getting. New Year's Kite, 8 cities. It's a lot of cities, but total 15 tracks. It's been around for a while. Great, obviously being coin. Pink Gold Paper Glider, 15 tracks plus 1 city. Cheap Masks, 17 tracks plus 3 cities. This is a permanent pipe item. I love this investment. This is going to be great. If you pull it next week, if it is in that pipe, it's definitely going to be worth pulling on. Dragon Wings, man. Talk about giving feeding those wealthy and the rich getting richer here. Dragon Wings now up to 27 total tracks. 27 total tracks. 27 total tracks. That's crazy. 4 of those being cities, 23 being non-cities. You know a lot about that. We've talked a lot about it already. Bowser Hanafuda, 0 cities, 15 tracks. That's very good with the 0 cities. Chocolate Donut, number 11 on our list. 1 city, 17 tracks. That's great. It's actually nice to see that coming up here. We don't normally see 2 alts being in our top 10 at the same time. But if Chocolate Donut got in there and we had Strawberry Donut, that'd be 2 donuts in our top 10. That'd be really interesting to see. Blizzard Balloons, 0 cities, 16 tracks, and then the 8-bit jumping Luigi at 9 tracks, 0 cities. So those who got buffed. Now for some of you out there's favorite part of the video is our top 10. So do want to talk about this. Don't want to go into too much depth, but Tabor, I know, talked with Sammy and myself, and been reading your comments. I appreciate everyone's comments here. I think one of the major complaints about our top 10 was that you started to see a lot of the Coinbox drivers fall out of the top 10, and you started to see a lot of Black Yoshi and Wedding Peach and Pinkle Luigi be in our top 5, which is fine. Really, I mean, this is an arbitrary list when it comes to what's on it, but it's always backed by data. I always want to make sure everyone knows it's always, we're not fudging with things to try to come to an outcome. But when you have, I don't know, 50 comments on your video and 20 of them are, Coinbox is good, right? It does tell you something, and that the Coinbox skill did need to get buffed in our algorithm. There's no denying that. That was a major flaw in the algorithm. I've been mentioning it. You've been mentioning it. I know Sammy was I think the Sammy D with the Kart Life channel. Definitely check it out. I think was the straw that broke the camel's back. So the skill was moved from 20% up to 26%, meaning that Coinbox and really all the skills that we got, I think, a survey of 50, 60 people that filled out. Coinbox being a great one, Lucky 7, Boomerang, Giant Banana, all being at the top of that list. Anyone with that skill got a nice little buff here. So that's good to see. And one of the other complaints was that we had a lot of value built in for ranked performance in the past. And I think the complaint was not that we were tracking this information or including it in our algorithm, but just that it was a little too much emphasis because it was based on past performance. Now, we do see these seasons, like, say, Mario Hakama, who saw an outstanding amount of value here recently. Bang & Luigi, who just keeps getting ranked inclusion. I do think it is valuable to keep track of, especially over time, because Nintendo knows that when they include it in ranked, you now want that driver even more. So from that standpoint, they're going to know that you're going to want to pull for it. And then once you pull for it, you're going to want to use it. So from that standpoint, I do think it's important. But in order to make room for that percentage, that was taken out of the ranked percentage and ranked total usage from this algorithm, which I think is completely fair. I think that's actually pretty exciting because, why put future value on past results? Especially as they're trying to even things out. But I do think there is something to hold true to the fact that Nintendo does favor different items other than others. Okay. But then I didn't say that. But we do have, I think a pretty substantial boost there. As for the Karts and Gliders, a little bit more movement, but a little bit more subtle. So the skill went up a little bit, only 2%, not a lot, especially compared to the skill, which went up 6% of the driver. So it is, I don't think the carts really matter that much, but I do think the gliders, that matters a lot. Getting that Mushroom Plus or Coin Plus does impact your score. just getting, for the coins or mushrooms that come out of the boxes. That is important for what it's worth. Now, again, you saw the ranked percentage go down, but some of the other weightage went up as well. All right, let's jump right into it. I know this is a long video, so I appreciate your patience, but hopefully all these little tidbits are interesting to you and setting in there. But we have our top 10 list. Dry Bones Gold, been our number one on our list for months now. Staying steady there, no doubt about that. Peach Wedding was number 2 last tour, jumped up a lot, has stayed there. We'll see if she plateaus and stays there for a while. But she's been pretty solid. Mario Chef up 1. Nice to see him back in the top 3 here. Peach Vacation, man, she is back. Yeah, she's back in full force. She went up 8 spots to our number 4 on our list. I'm sure the algorithm helped her a decent amount, but she isn't ranked coming up, and I think from that standpoint, that really helped her out. It had been a while. We'll see if she comes back. We obviously, I think, especially with even thinking about next tour, if we do have another Paris or some type of Valentine's, she could continue to rise. She might move to up on our list. We'll see how involved she is in this next tour. Pinkle Peach, great to see her back in the top 5. She moved up 3 spots. And then we have Bowser Santa jumping up 8 spots to number 6. You gotta love that. I'm sure that Shy Guy Bazaar was a big part of that. He's been a big part of ranked, big part of being buffed. I love the guy. We'll see if he is just seasonally buffed and if he's able to stay in our top 10. He's the one I want to see what it looks like next tour and next tour and next tour. If he tops out here at number 6 on our list, or if he continues to get buffed, especially as we get into the late spring, early summer. It'll be interesting to be using a driver with Christmas lights all over him. Nabbit jumped up to Love Nabbit, number 7 on our list. It's always great seeing him on our top 10. Just with his awesome skill, very cool look, and haven't really been brought back. We've seen King Bob-omb be shoved down our throat in 100 pipes, all clear pipes. He's been ranked last 2 weeks, but from that standpoint, I've been putting tickets in him almost reluctantly. Whereas Nabbit, love the guy, would put tickets on him any day of the week. Penguin Luigi, he saw a pretty big drop. I think part of that having to do with his skill. It is, if I can use literally any other driver above him, I will use it, because that ice flower is definitely not a great skill. So from that standpoint, I'm not surprised that the algorithm hurt him a little bit. He's obviously still in our top 10. His coverage is outstanding. There's no denying that. Number 8 is a solid number, just based on pure coverage. I think from if you invested in him, you got him to a high level. He's been doing well and ranked, and that's all you care about. We'll see, though, as we talked about, this has been a season of boom. How long can this last? We'll have to see. One of my favorite new ones on the list, Lakitu Party Time. I already have Funky at 6 for this week for Paris. I'm thinking about throwing tickets on Lakitu anyway, just to get him up to 6, because I love his look. He's so cool. I actually think that he will be one of the top drivers in 2021. I don't think there's any. They could basically drop him into any tour this upcoming year and say, oh, that makes sense. Whereas, it might be weird to think, Bowser Santa dropped into, a summer tour or something like that. It might seem a little odd to see him getting buffed. Whereas Lakitu Party Time, I can see him being buffed quite a lot this year. I'm trying to think of, he might be, the next, Nabbit, or, a pretty good driver. Might be the new, Chef Mario. I really like Lakitu Party Time. I think if you invest in him, you're not going to regret it. Black Yoshi, I'm sure got hurt a little bit with the algorithm change, but still a top 10 driver. He's got great coverage. Now, I think with his coverage, he's gotten a lot of, he has great coverage. There's no doubt about that. But as new coin box drivers come in and new drivers are added, he's just like Penguin Luigi. He's always going to be overshadowed. So a lot of his value could easily be lost when a driver is added to, like, let's say Lakitu Party Time is added to Daisy Hills or whatever that track that we used him in ranked a couple weeks ago. Or, a new driver that just came out, maybe just literally any driver with a better skill be added to one of his tracks, he instantaneously moves to the shelf. And so, you know, that's also something I wanted to mention in the city part that might be extremely valuable, is that you might see somebody with a lot of city value, and that's fine. But as you saw with Paris here, you saw all these new drivers being added to that track. So from that standpoint, you want to take all their city value with a grain of salt. Just because they're the top driver that you would use on a city track doesn't mean that that's going to be that's going to hold true when that city's re-released. A good example would be if you look at any of the Tokyo tours, there's like 2 or 3 drivers. Not a lot of choice, but if they re-release some of these Tokyo tracks, they're going to dump 4 or 5 other new drivers onto that track, and no longer that's going to be your favorite. So, you know, you always want to kind of think about skill. You always want to think about that number one before everything else. Always take your coin box drivers to level 4 if you can. Same with Lucky 7. You know, being able to get those extra couple coins from that Lucky 7 frenzy is massive. And so, again, I love the algorithm change. I think this is great for you, great for me, and more important for us to be able to strategize going forward. All right, that was a long driver section. I'll try to get through these a little bit quicker, but I still want to kind of hover these for sure. Top 10 carts. Man, these top 5 have been holding true. No surprise here. Happy Ride, Rose Queen, Wild Black, Off-Roader, Gilded King. Usually you've seen one of these two flip. They all stay the same. These are awesome carts. Please invest in these carts. Choco Macaroon, now number 6. Got bumped up 1. It used to be in the former number 5. I would almost add this as a top 5 cart, and definitely in how it's been treated up until this point. Blue Soda has been pretty consistent as well. Unfortunately, it did drop 1. Gold Cheap Charger's been slowly on the rise, slowly creeping there. Bad Wagon's been in the top 10 before. It's been a while. Back now, up 5 spots. And then Black Dozer. Keep an eye on the Black Dozer. As I mentioned, between that and the Gilded King, we could see some very good value, especially if any type of Bowser-related type of track. So it might even be really good to pair with that Dry Bowser umbrella. Keep that in the back of your mind. But now number 10, up 2 on our spots. The others mentioned, Dark Buggy 11, Gilded Prancer 12. That's dropped a lot, that Gilded Prancer for sure. Head Honcho number 13, Black Kabuki Dasher, and then Sweet Day Tripper at 15. Then the last of our top 10, the gliders. Dragon Wings, no question there. Gold Crane, top coin glider right now at 2. Strawberry Donut back in its typical top 2 or 3 spot here at number 3, up 7. Gold Glider holding it down at number 4. Gold Swooper back at 5. It was at 5 for quite a while. It's one of my favorite coin gliders for sure. Now, the most volatile on this list, we saw 8-Bit Star. It jumped pretty substantially last tour to number 2. It is down to number 4, down 4 spots to number 6. Still a great glider, still one definitely worth to investing in. Who knows, maybe even could be the next Dragon Wings, but it is now number 6 on our list. Starshoot up 1, Sunset Balloons. I love the look of this glider. I really hope it keeps rising, and I hope they actually bring it back for a pipe. That's a pipe I would pull on for sure. Hope Nintendo's listening. And then Super Mario Kart glider jumped up 14 spots. That's crazy. 14. It's a massive jump. Definitely worth ticketing if you're interested in ticketing an item that was part of a pack. But we'll see if it stays there. I mean, 14's it's a big jump. We've seen other gliders jump into this list pretty high and then fall back out just as quickly as they came in. So keep that with a grain of salt. Royal Parachute, a pretty consistent top 10 over the last couple of years. Chocolate Donut at 11. Chocolate Banana Crepe at 12. Tropical Glider at 13. And then Daisy Glider at 14. Cloud Glider at 15. So great list there. One of the things that I did want to point out as we wrap up the video is the ranked tracks. These look a little different. Tabor did a great job of making some quick changes. I did have I believe Sandra Ruiz, who mentioned last video, so shout out to Miss Ruiz, but she mentioned that Regular King Boo was boosted being a part of the King Boo Cup, but he wasn't on our list. So Tabor did a good job of including who is on this list for ranked that may or may not normally be, but is boosted because of that cup. But there's some good ones to mention here if you think about, looking at those level 6s. So this a good example would be for Donut Plains. If you don't have a lot of these high-end carts, which is certainly possible, this Wild Pink at level 6 could be used if you pull it on Sunday and use tickets on it. You may not have that many tickets. But again, another one good to mention here might be, say, Shy Guy Bazaar. If you don't have some of these paywalled carts like Wild Black, Rose Queen, but let's say you have Crawley Cart and you have it at level 3, you now get this track. Now, I think this is, out of all the tracks, the one that you have the most coverage. But just kind of wanted to point that out there, that level 6, level 3 added on there. It's good to keep note of. I think a lot of people's questions about how to handle Paris 2T, but you got some options there. And then for looking at the Todd Cup, a lot of unique level 3 tracks for Koopa Troopa Beach, for Royal Raceway R. So when you're looking at Daisy Ferry or some of these supers for Koopa Troopa Beach RT, you get Birdo, the light blue Monty Mole, etc. You got the Cactex and Green Circuit at level 3 there. Steel Driver level 6. So some really unique. There's a lot of supers though for Koopa Troopa Beach RT. So I doubt you have a lot of issue with coverage there. Versus the Donut Plains 2T, it's going to be tough. I think you're going to be using Penguin Luigi again, unfortunately. But for what it's worth, maybe you have Lakitu Party Time. You can boost up. Mario Sunshine is going to be my go-to for that track as well. But really wish want to cover this and make sure that you know how to diagnose it and take a look at it. And we made some changes as well. So that's all I have. So I hope you enjoy the cat tour. I know this was a long video, but there was a lot to pull out. I was the most excited about any rundown for this video. So I appreciate you taking the time. Like I said, we'll see how everything turns out here with how things are impacted with our top 10, etc. But thanks for joining me. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Feel free to comment below if you have any comments or suggestions for the channel. And we always listen to them. We always take them into consideration. Tabor and I are always reading everyone that's going through. So if you have comments, suggestions, please let us know. But if I don't talk to you, meow and enjoy this tour.